One.
This is Sparta!
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. It is me, Jason C. Welcome to Monday Night Mayhem. I know we're excited along my tag team partner, Andrew LeDuc. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. No better way to spend Monday than with some Northern Louisiana football. Gotta love it. Ready to see some excitement tonight.
Indeed, it is the NLFA game of the week. We are excited. Want to say thank you to DJ, Kelsey, and our boy Ryan for putting on a great performance last show. Great call, great game, by the way. We saw the Roughnecks pull out the victory. So good job, guys. But now it's time for the A team because we got the game of the week. Just kidding. A little joke to plug out. All right, guys. We got the big game tonight. The 3-0 Bombers versus the 1-2 Lumberjacks. Going to be an exciting game tonight. Bombers got to keep pace now with these teams that are starting to come up a little bit. The Lumberjack season, however, has not gone so well. They started out 0-2. In fact, got bombed, no pun intended, by the Bombers in week one, 34-8. Got a beat down put on them in week one. So we'll see what they can do tonight. Andrew, your thoughts on this game, and at least, I'm sorry, not this game, but at least, but how can the Lumberjacks pull this victory off tonight?
Well, I think first and foremost, we saw the struggles last week with the offensive line and both in the blocking, but also just in getting the ball to the quarterback in those shotgun snaps. So if they can clean that up, I think that's going to be the key, number one key to kind of controlling this game against the Bombers. And number two, if we continue to see Derek Banks take this game over, we saw his ability to stay calm on those kind of muffed up plays there to where he could still make something happen, move the ball and find either a target or some space to run. So if they can clean up the game and Derek Banks can take control again, I like their chances here against this Bombers team.
Yeah, Derek Banks Jr. showed improved last week. Speaking of that, he did have an interview with our friends from the Scoreboards podcast. Excuse me, I always say this wrong. Scoreboard Addicts podcast. They did a little interview with him last week, thanks to you guys, and let's play a clip to what he had to say about that one play.
As a quarterback, it's just best to make everything possible. So every bad play, if I can control it, if it's in my hands, I'm gonna try my best to make a play. And that's what I was just trying to do for my guys, just try to make a play and try to make up anything, turn anything negative to a positive. So.
Mr. Banks Jr., I have a friend who works at Spectrum. Please let me know. I'll send you his card. All right, yeah. And also, speaking of, he's a good personality, good guy. As the interview went on, there was one of the clip that I had to play out. I just thought it was funny. Anthony asked both quarterbacks, but, he asked them who they compared themselves to in the NFL. And I thought he had an interesting answer. Let's see what he had to say.
I was a big Tim Tebow fan, but I got to liking other quarterbacks. As the years go by, other athletes begin to get better. So I just take a piece from everybody and try to install it to my own.
He did say something very prophetic there at the end. He liked to get a little piece of everybody. So again, what are your thoughts on Banks' chance tonight, Drew?
Look, like I said, I like it. I think their defense is going to keep putting him in as an aggressive defense in places to succeed. So maybe some shorter fields here. We'll see what they can do if the defense can step up. But I think he's athletic enough to get it done against this Bombers defense, even though the Bombers defense has held their opponents to under 10 points every game so far this year.
Yeah, the Bombers, in a sense, good segue there. I appreciate that. They are nothing but dominant. Every game they've blown people out. I mentioned the week 1 blowout of this team they're playing tonight. They're all in the season. Great offense, great defense. So it's going to be a big test for them, big test for the Lumberjacks to pull this victory off tonight. Speaking of QBs, though, leaded by here's a great clip for their QB. Let's hear what he had to say.
This week for week 3 that we just played that game, their defense was doing actually a great job of containing me because I'm most dangerous when I can roll to the outside. And I haven't got a chance to get as many yards as I wanted to that game, just like the previous games. But when I roll, we had a lot of plays designed up, more so likely of a bootleg than a QB draw, if you want to say.
Yes.
And once we do that, it opens up a lot. If I could have somebody, mainly like my tight end slipping, I could find somebody pretty easy. But as far as that, I mean, the defense did a great job. So it's not really much that I can say. That was you guys' first game actually seeing of me.
Yes, it was.
But it should get better.
So that clip he was referring to last week's game, and I hope the Lumberjacks didn't hear it because he basically gave them the game plan. What do you think about that, Drew?
Well, what I liked about what AJ said there is, one, it sounds like he's got a very high football IQ. He's very aware of what's going on the field around him. So I like that it seems like his mind's always moving even as the play is happening, which as a quarterback with his size, that being, I think it's 155 and 155 pounds. Like, he's a smaller guy. He's got a little bit, I think, 5'6" height. So he's got to be able to move to create some vision angles to find those receivers. And he hit it correct. If he's got the tight end slipping right there, that's the type of stuff that he has to do to make plays work. So I like what I heard from him there.
Yeah, and a great point too. He talked about that being small and elusive, trying to get away from these big guys. Let's hear what he had to say about that.
It's pretty tough. It's kind of good as well though, because I know that they're never gonna catch me, if that makes sense. But
yeah, I've heard that about you. I've heard you're very elusive.
Yeah, I try to be. I work out a lot. Work out with my body, and I do a lot of drills every other day. So I'm pretty good with getting away from them big men. It really doesn't bother me. Now, once they do catch me, that's trouble.
Yeah, trouble indeed. Listen, if it's trouble for you, it's trouble for me. Trust me, I believe you. So, Drew, what do you think as far as the Bombers, go? Been dominant all season. Is there anything that they could do to say shoot themselves in the foot today to lose this game? What do you think?
I mean, it goes back to the sloppiness. If they get a little too complacent and sloppy with the ball, then that's going to be, like I said before, we've seen it with the Lumberjacks defense. They're not afraid to jump a route. They're not afraid to really attack and go for some strips to put the ball on the ground. So if they get a little too careless with the ball, I think the Lumberjacks will take advantage with the style of defense they play. So they really got to play a clean game today.
Indeed. Well, we're about to find out. We're going to kick it to the booth to our boys, Vince and Andy. I'm excited to get this on. We'll see you guys after the game. We'll have lots of fun things to talk about afterwards. Until then, have a good one.
Welcome into Monday Night Mayhem's NLFA Game of the Week, the Bombers versus the Lumberjacks. I'm Vince Stover, and joined tonight on the call by former linebacker and defensive end Andy Sire from the same podcast. Andy, welcome in, and what are you looking for here in tonight's game?
Welcome, Vince. Good night as always. Tonight I'm looking for a lot of the same things we saw last week out of this Bombers team. We mentioned on our broadcast last week that they play a very fast defensive football game. So I'm looking for them to show their lateral sideline to sideline speed and not let the Lumberjacks get upfield. And then on the offensive side of the football, I am looking for their quarterback to have those running lanes to make those decisions. A little bit of improvisational football, so to speak. And then, on the flip side with the Lumberjacks, I think the main thing for them is they need to keep the score low. So we need to see a sound defensive effort from them. And then, on the offensive side, they can expose this Bombers defense if they do take some shots downfield. It's well calculated.
Jason and Andrew had some great coverage for us pregame today, and they mentioned a lot of these things. But you look at this Lumberjacks team, they play a lot of guys two ways, offense and defense. So they got to stay fresh as well, led by Derek Banks Jr., the quarterback. He's an important piece of this team. They're 1-2. Season hasn't started out like they wanted to. But it doesn't sound like Derek Banks is afraid of the Bombers, and I don't think his teammates are either. The Bombers come in undefeated. They've been an offensive powerhouse, and we saw in last week's game, as we had the Bombers game last week, their defense stepped up in a big way as well. Mm-hmm. But, of course, A.J. Ester's the big straw that stirs the drink, I guess. Everything bases off of him, and it'll be interesting to see kind of what he gets. And they got those running backs as well, Trey Richardson and Roderick Long, two guys that can do some damage out of the backfield. So I'm interested to see which way they lean towards this game. Is it going to be heavy on A.J. Ester? Will they get Trey Richardson rolling? He had a great game last week as well. And then what the defense for the Lumberjacks can do. Dante Casey, he's a running back and linebacker for the Lumberjacks. He's a very active player on both sides of the ball for the Lumberjacks. So I'm interested to see, can they stay fresh, I guess, throughout this game.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big key. And I think the other thing too, Vince, is like we did see some mistakes last week. Okay, so I think this game is going to come down to now, while the Lumberjacks record may not be where the Bombers is, whoever plays the most mistake-free football will come out of this game with a W.
All right, I think we're ready for game time, Andy. If you are, I sure am. We're going to head to Bossier City for Monday Night Mayhem's Game of the Week, Bombers versus the Lumberjacks. So here we go, a beautiful day for some football. And again, the NLFA is a 9-man tackle league, 80-yard field. And so it's mostly the same, right, Andy, as your traditional football. There are a couple small changes.
Yeah, I mean, just like every other league that's not the traditional National Football League or a copycat of that, you are going to see some different, addendums on there. So obviously we have 2 less players, 20 yards less of field. However, mostly we do see the same gameplay in this league. The one thing that's cool, though, Vince, and we were talking about this before the broadcast, is the extra points here. They do have a different extra point system, which I am excited to see how that plays a factor in today's game.
Yeah, definitely. 1 point for a pass, 2 points for a run for your extra points. So here we go. We're going to start off with the Bombers on offense. A.J. Ester a lot of times will line up in that pistol formation. 2 backs behind him. It's going to be Trey Richardson and Roderick Long here in the backfield. The head official comes up, checking with the clock. Looks like we're good to go. All right, here we go. Snap number 1, game of the week, Bombers versus Lumberjacks. Snap to Ester. He's going to pitch it. Looks like it's Trey Richardson around to the right side. Falls forward about, looks like 4 or 5 yard gain there on the first play for the Bombers, and it looks like they're trying to establish their will early.
Yeah, solid gain right out of the gate. I like the call. I like taking a little bit of pressure off of Ester early in the game. So hopefully they can sustain this and move the ball down the field in a consistent manner here on this first drive.
Yeah, running is their strength, but they got some talented receivers as well. Ester, play action fake, throwing over the middle. It is bobbled, intercepted.
Oh. We did talk about the mistakes, Vince, and we see an early one here. This could be a big momentum swing in this football game. Less than a minute in. Now, will this be the nail in the heel for the Bombers, or can they have a sound defensive effort here?
Yeah, Dimitri Casey, a brother of Dante Casey, gets the interception there on play 2 of the game. Now the Bombers defense is going to have to step up and show what they have. I'll tell you, on this defense for the Bombers, a guy that I really like watching play is Keetrion Mingo. He plays on the line, usually the rush, but he also jumps to the middle, number 44 there. Mm-hmm. You can tell him because he's got the long hair as well, so it's easy to see. He gets a lot of pressure, though, gets in the backfield often. But now it's up to Derek Banks, right? Can this offense get things going for the Lumberjacks and maybe put the Bombers somewhere they've not been before, or at least very often, and that's behind on the scoreboard.
Yeah, let's look for the Lumberjacks, Vince, to try to attack this team downfield and avoid the lateral side-to-side movement with the football here as we come up to the line and get ready for the first snap.
Yeah, you said it perfect there, because the Bombers are quick on defense and can get horizontal as well, side to side. That's a great point. Here we go. Derek Banks back to running back split to each side. He is going to hand it off. They're going to run around to the left side. Devontae West with the carry. Looks like a gain of about 1 yard there on the sweep to the left.
Yep, both teams come out trying to establish the run early. I do like the call. However, again, with this team, I do think we need to take some chances early if I am the Lumberjacks here. We'll see if that changes on second down coming up.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the Bombers, they've been able to outscore their opponents by a fair amount this season. If you can get them playing from behind, maybe make them uncomfortable as well, but you got to find a way to attack any weakness you can find. Banks back in shotgun, snap. Handoff counterplay there to the left. Up ahead about 4 or 5 yards on that one there. A few more extra yards there for the Lumberjacks on second down.
Yeah, nice running lane made on the left side of that offensive line. Really good job of blocking, opening up the hole for the running back there. We got third and a long 5 coming up here, Vince. Now, I would probably guess we're going to see the ball go in the air here, but we might see something different.
Yeah, Devontae Jackson, number 90, big guy on the left end, on the left side of the line, creating some space. Here we go, snap. Looks like we've got another run. This one to the right side. And down, looks like I think they got the first down. Let's see.
Looks like 1st and 10 Lumberjacks. Waiting for the call from the head ref.
He's going to say 4th down, it looks like.
Oh, just short. All right, Vince. 4th down, early conversion here. Do we think it's going to happen, or do we see the momentum shift back to the Bombers?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen, but I will say this. Let's just go for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take the best play you got in the playbook right now and get those 4 yards that you need. Here's the snap. Banks has it. He's rolling to the right. He gets the corner. He avoids a tackle. He's in the end zone. Touchdown, Lumberjacks.
Excellent effort there from Banks at the quarterback position. Both of these teams play very, very well with their mobile quarterbacks. That was a great run by him. Great vision, great effort. Solid effort there by the Lumberjacks on the first drive.
That's a huge play again, putting the Bombers behind. The Lumberjacks up 6-0. They'll go for the conversion here again. A pass is 1 point. A run is 2 points, but you got to get across the goal line still. So here we go. Line it up for the extra point. Same formation. Banks in shotgun, a running back on each side. He's going to hand it off. They're going to go to that sweep to the left, going side to side. And no good, the official says over there on the goal line. So looks like the Bombers at least hold them to that. 6-0.
Yep.
Lumberjacks lead.
And that was, again, Vince, like we talked about, the lateral movement of that Bombers defense, able to sniff out that sweep to the left side. But as we saw, Lumberjacks came out early, created the turnover, put the ball in the end zone. Very nice start for the Lumberjacks against these Bombers.
Yeah, that's got to give you a boost here. Now the defense will head back out for them. Their defensive line is Byron Turner, Jamad Armstrong, Devontae Jackson, and then Devontae West will kind of play a edge to also drop into coverage when necessary there as well. Marvin Carter, Justin LeBlanc will be on the corners. Dimitri Casey and Dante Casey at linebacker, Telly Ford at safety. Now the Bombers' second opportunity on offense. Here they go. They're going to go with the I formation, still in basically the pistol there for A.J. Esther. This is going to be a run to the right side by Long. He's breaking a tackle. Big run there. That's a very nice big gain. First down for the Bombers. That's what you like to see if you're the Bombers right now compared to how the last drive went.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a very, very nice design play. Now, I do look for on this drive, I would say one key person on this Lumberjacks defense to pay attention to is going to be linebacker Dimitri Casey. Stands at 6'5", 225. Let's see how he and the rest of his defense are able to contain Esther on this drive.
Yeah, and he got the interception on the first drive, showing that he can play in coverage, and we know that they're going to have to stop the run against this team. Esther dropping back to pass, throwing to the left side, It is caught and drug out of bounds as soon as the catch is made, but a nice little out pattern there, and it'll be second down, and it looks like about 5 to go.
Yeah, nice execution on that play here. I think what we're going to end up seeing right now from these Bombers is trying to play mistake-free football, as we talked about. So look for Esther for a quick release or maybe a one-read-and-go type quarterback draw situation.
Yeah, he talked about it right in that the interview earlier this week that he feels pretty confident in his elusiveness and able to get past people. And, you saw Derek Banks do it for the Lumberjacks. Now what can AJ Esther do to answer? 2nd and 4. Fumble on the play. And it looks like the Lumberjacks have recovered.
I'll tell you what, Vince, this defense of the Lumberjacks came to play today with the very high ball awareness, the speed to the football. Very nice execution on these first 2 drives.
My goodness. And the Bombers are playing uncharacteristically poor here at the beginning of the game. I mean, they did make some mistakes in the past, but 2 turnovers, one that's already turned into a touchdown. Lumberjacks now trying to make it 2 touchdowns off of turnovers. And Derek Banks, will get back to his familiar spot in shotgun. He's got a running back on each side of him. Here's the snap. He's going to throw it out a little screen pass out to Ford. He gets the sideline up ahead, squirts ahead, and looks like first down there for Telly Ford. And the Lumberjacks continuing to act quick here in this game.
Yeah, a nice quick call there. Telly Ford is actually a quarterback on this roster too, so he's a dual threat. So, are we going to see a setup for a trick play here at some point in the game with that quick screen and maybe a double pass?
I like the way you think, Andy. That's definitely, and you have experience on the defensive side of the ball. Is that something that's going through your head mid-game as well?
It is. As I would be sitting back we got a pass up the middle here. But as I'm sitting back in my linebacker position, if I'm on the Bombers, and what I'm going to think of is, okay, they've ran this quick screen to the left. They have a quarterback out there. It's very similar to when Pittsburgh Steelers had Antoine Randall, and they would do that bubble screen and he would throw deep. Yep. So I am going to be aware of that. However, I'm not going to give away that I'm thinking about that as well.
Perfect. All right. Banks has them 1st and goal, I believe, now for the Lumberjacks. Takes the snap. They're going to go off to the left side, trying to get around the corner on the left side, spinning after getting hit and brought down short of the goal line. But another positive gain for the Lumberjacks, making some real progress here early in this game.
Yeah, and you see they're really trying to attack the left side or the right side of that Bombers defense. I wonder what they're seeing right now as far as, are they able to expose one of these defensive linemen, or do they just like the way their offensive line is run to that side?
Yeah, and they've got some big boys on that defensive line. Jamaz Henry being one of those guys. Marcus Stevenson, another. Maybe they feel like they got a speed advantage out there running away from somebody. Here we go to the right, up the middle to some degree as well. Off tackle, I suppose. And short again of the goal line, but another couple yard or so forward. Lumberjacks move closer to the goal, 3rd and goal.
I think what we're seeing here, Vince, is just consistent moving the ball forward. And I mean, if we go to even backyard football, right, we talk about you move the ball forward, you're going to win the football game. So right now, I like the way the offense of the Lumberjacks has come out and just taking positive yards when they can get it and where they can get it.
Yeah, they're just going to kind of pick away at it till it finally breaks. And now 3rd and goal, Lumberjacks lead 6-0 against the undefeated Bombers. Banks in shotgun, takes the snap a little high. He's going to run with it up the middle and looking for the sign from the official. I don't think he did.
We are just short. I like the call there, though, because we do, again, as we've mentioned so far in this broadcast, we have 2 very athletic quarterbacks. So play to your strengths, and Banks can move. We already saw that clearly on the first touchdown run that he had. Might as well take advantage whenever we can if I'm the Lumberjacks.
Yeah, and you had that kind of that counter play where they've been stretching them out. That time they acted like it was another kind of sweep out, but then they counter back into the middle. Sharp play, I think, there as well. Banks now in shotgun, 4th and goal, 4:26 to go in the first. The snap, whistles blow, the run through the middle. There's a sign. There it is, touchdown.
This is not the game we expected to see today, Vince. I'll tell you that from the defensive side of the football for the Bombers. But again, a great execution off the turnover by the Lumberjacks.
And Andy, you said it before the game too. Mistakes. You gotta play mistake free or at least close to it football. And now 2 big mistakes for the Bombers, an interception and a fumble. And the Lumberjacks have been able to turn it into 2 touchdowns. Now they'll look for the conversion to see if they can add to this score. Up 12-0. Here we're still in the first quarter of this game.
I look for Derek Banks to do a quarterback run here, some sort of keeper. Try to punch it in.
Bad snap. He's going to have to roll around to the left, throwing. It's caught. An amazing play there by Banks, making it happen, getting it over the middle. I did not see the receiver that caught it, but he gets it into the end zone for the 2-point conversion. So 14-0 Lumberjacks. And 3.5 still to go in the first quarter. I did not see this one coming at all.
We've got an early highlight of the week too there, Vince, on that play. You know, sometimes you make something out of nothing, and that was just a phenomenal play by Banks. Great athletic move, getting the ball away, and then great awareness too to throw it to where his receiver was. So, you know, early start, not what we expected, but I'll tell you what, sometimes the unexpected makes for the best football games.
Definitely. AJ Esther now trying to answer. He's in the pistol, two running backs behind him. Ball straight up the middle here. They're trying to go power right now, and the Lumberjacks hold them. Nothing given there from the Lumberjacks.
Yeah, we're seeing a really stout defensive effort from this Lumberjack team. I mean, you know, they've got some size up front, you know, and we mentioned Dimitri Casey, 6'5", 225 in the middle, but, you know, DeMontavious Robinson on the defensive line, as well as James Robinson sitting there at 6'3", 320. There's some bodies in there that are hard to move for this Bomber offensive line.
You're not kidding about that. There's some guys that are small on both of these teams, but there's some big old boys there as well. AJ Esther and this Bombers offense has to be a little frustrated so far. They're going to take over 2nd and 14 now for the Bombers. Esther with the snap. He's rolling. That's where he likes to be, on the outside. He's so fast, he goes out of the screen, comes back into the screen, trying to get across the field, throwing it up. And that caught? It looks like it is caught.
Nice downfield throw. And something we forgot to mention, Vince, is that AJ Esther does have a very good field awareness for the downfield throw when he's out of the pocket. So am I surprised that happened? A little bit. Should I be shocked? Probably not. But a great play by Esther there.
A great job and a good job by the running back to continue to move and find a gap. And Esther found him. Here he goes. Snap. Now they're going to pitch it to the right. It's Trey Richardson spinning, but there are multiple guys there to pull him down. He does not get anywhere on the play. Again, all the success they had last week with just running Trey Richardson, to this point, they've had some success. Flag on the play, though. And it looks like they're going to mark it
on the Lumberjacks.
Yeah. Dominic Pugh's going to check in at running back. Yeah, easy to see him as well. He's another player with a nice long hair. He plays defense, plays safety as well. Gets a little running. I believe Pugh was on another team last year, and I'd have to check back on that. I believe this is his first year on the Bombers, but I could be wrong. Esther will be in that pistol first, and I believe it's 5 now with the penalty. Snap to Esther. He's looking left. He's got a man. It's caught, and that is Tedris Nellums. He gets tackled. The referee says he is down, so it looked like the ball came out there at the end. But after he was down, so now the Bombers are making some movement. That was 1st and 5, and I believe they got the first down on that play. Yes, they did. First down, Bombers. So now we're starting to see out of this Bombers offense what we're used to seeing, and that's ball movement, and not just one way, right? They've done the pitch right. They've done the throw left. They've tried some power moves as well, and they're trying to find what works for them.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that we saw there, Vince, is what's working for them is the quick plays or it's the improvisation when Esther's on the run. So, I mean, you know, Richardson did have a great game last week. It's obvious that the Lumberjacks have game planned for him. So look for more quick design throws for Esther coming up in the second quarter.
So, yeah, second quarter is upon us. We're going to see here, give you a couple of different views here. On first down, and they're switching sides, of course, at the end of the quarter as well. So moving that around from there. First play goes to the left, and short gain. Looks like maybe about a yard or 2 on the play there for the Bombers. Looking to get on the board. I am absolutely surprised that at the beginning of the second quarter, it's 14-0 Lumberjacks, especially the way that the Bombers have been able to outscore their opponents.
I am too, Vince, and I still say look for some sort of trick play to come out here, but let's keep an eye on Esther here as he drops back in that pistol formation. Again, trying to make something out of nothing. He's got a...
you can't see him. There he is. All right, he gets
did go out of
down.
the screen.
Yeah, he gets brought down, and you saw there Devontae Jackson push Trey Richardson, it looked like, right back into Esther's lap. Esther trying to evade him to some success, but ultimately more defenders came, and it was 2nd and 8. Now it's 3rd and 12 for the Bombers, and this is not what you want to see. All your momentum has kind of come to a screeching halt, it seems like, right here on 3rd down.
Yep, and as we saw in that last play, Esther did have a man open streaking towards the sideline, but like you said, Richardson was pushed right into his face, and Esther being only standing 5'6", it is tough for him to see in that situation. So, let's see what the Bombers draw up here and see if Esther can make some magic.
Yeah, Ted Nellums, number 11, is a receiver to watch. His brother Tedris is who they're looking for. Almost intercepted. And that's Justin LeBlanc on the big defensive play there. And now the Bombers have to figure out what they want to do, if they're going to punt it away here or go for it on 4th and 12. What's your thoughts there, Andy? I mean, you're down 14, and can they go for it here, or do you think they should punt it away?
Well, Vince, if you're giving me the controls in Madden, I'm going for it. You're down 14, you have the momentum right now, and if you give it back to the Lumberjacks, you are going to let it swing back their favor. But I think you got to go for it here. I think this is the right call. You have a great player in Esther at the quarterback. Let's see if you can make something happen.
Yeah, and the Nellums brothers on each side as the receivers are fast as well. Esther fakes the pitch. He's looking left, throwing incomplete.
Behind
it almost
his
looked like, Ted didn't even make much of an effort there, and it looked like it was uncatchable for him anyhow. So
yeah,
there
I
you
like
go.
the play design there. It was just poor execution, but I like the play design. I think it was the right call. If I'm the Bombers, I hold on to that momentum on the next offensive possession, knowing that they do have some things now that are going to be open against this Lumberjack defense.
Yeah, it's interesting. You watch these leagues, and you're watching as players, offensive players coming off, defensive players are going on. It's an old baseball trick, trading gloves as you come on. They're trading helmets as they're coming off the field, sharing some helmets and things like that as well. But a beautiful day for football in northern Louisiana. Perfect weather, which is nice. We had snow this week where I live, so it's nice to see some sunshine in the camera screens. Here. Lumberjacks,
beautiful day out. We hope you guys are all enjoying this coverage of this NLFA game with us. Thank you for being here with us. Let's get on to some Lumberjack offense here.
Yeah, Derek Banks back at it. Same formation. They're pretty happy there. They're going to go with running up the middle. There's
very nice penetration there.
Yeah, the defense bust through there to cause some havoc.
I think that was big James Robinson that shot in there on the defensive line. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Vince.
I think you're correct. It's hard to tell some of the defensive numbers depending on where they're all covered up at. But yeah, he's a big boy, ain't he?
He is, and that was a great penetration on his part and caused the running back to make, a quick decision. And obviously, he had his mates there to clean up the mess.
Snap to Banks. He's going to hold on to this one. Looking to throw deep down the left side. Overthrows his receiver. That's the first real shot we've seen the Lumberjacks take. And it looks like maybe they're trying to put the dagger in earlier.
I love it. I tell you what, I love it. I love the way this Lumberjacks offense is playing right now. And we talked about it, Vince. You and I got to go buy a lottery ticket now. You got to take some shots deep against this Bombers defense. So, Mr. Banks, clearly you're listening. I like the way you're playing.
The Bombers have to be frustrated with how this game has gone so far. And when you're getting kind of picked apart, you tend to maybe lose track of the guy that you're covering, especially out there on the outside. If you get a little play action and you bite on it at all, a receiver gets behind you, you're in trouble. That time, Banks just overthrew his receiver. And so we're going to set it up again. Banks in shotgun. He's got Dante Casey and Devontae West on each side of him. Here's the snap fumble. It's a low snap, but he picks it up, bounces right to him, throws it almost intercepted.
Right
my goodness!
I'll tell you what.
An interesting turn of events.
We've had some interesting plays here in this first half, and on that particular play, I think Mr. Banks gave it all he had, and obviously it didn't work out. But the defender on the Bombers on that play, you got to make that interception. That's one that you won't get back. You mentioned on the previous play, Vince, the deep ball. What we're going to have to look at with these corners is the hips. Are the hips rotating properly to allow the eyes to stay on the quarterback? So let's pay attention to those defensive backs as we see more shots downfield in this game.
DeMoses Jenkins getting some run on the defense is the one that almost came up with the interception. The hips don't lie, they
4th and
say.
9 here.
4th and 9. I think they're going to punt this one. They're not in their normal shotgun stance. So if they're, it looks like they're going to punt this one.
Punt it. So the first punt of the game by the Lumberjacks.
Up 14-0. You're happy that this is your first punt of the game. He's going to punt this one down. It's bobbled and out of bounds there by the Bombers.
Nothing is going right for this Bomber team right now, eh, Vince?
It's not. I mean, it's one thing after another, right? The interception early in the game, then the fumble. They've had some bad snaps. The defense has just been too aggressive to get them on the runs, and that time a bobbled punt that if you catch, you're ahead at least another 10, 15 yards, and instead it goes backwards and out of bounds, giving you your worst field position of the day and down 14-0. That's not what you want to be hearing with just 8 minutes to go in the half.
No, and I think we all know, though, that, one play, one drive can really change the course of the game. So the Bombers are not out of it yet, but they do have a big hole to climb out of. Let's see what Mr. Esther can come up with here on this drive, starting deep in their own territory. 1st and 10, we got Esther in the pistol traditional formation for the Bombers. Vince, let's see what happens here.
All right, here's the snap. They're going to take it to the air. There's a whistle blow. Not going well for the Bombers. And they go back even 5 more yards. It's going to be a real pain for them here. The referees are talking. Let's see here. Looks like we're getting the call offsides, it looked like, on the Bombers. Lined up offsides. Man, you just look at those things and you think, those are the kind of mistakes that you can avoid pretty easily, if you're just lined up in the wrong spot.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, as a team, you can deal with the physical mistakes, but the mental mistakes are just killers. And, especially when you're down early and you're backed up in your own territory, you really have to be mentally sound to get this drive going.
Yeah, and you're kind of handicapping the offense a little bit too. AJ Esther under all kinds of pressure, throwing it deep out of the screen, incomplete. Ted Nellums Jr. is one of the receivers that was in the area. And then Courtney Davis, the other receiver in the area, but overthrew both of them. So now 2nd and 15. And I like the idea. You don't want to force the issue because you don't have to just play through the air right now. Again, only down 2 possessions. But I like the idea of, hey, the run game hasn't been super effective yet. Let's see if we can stretch them out a little bit. That might create some space up the middle for AJ to run or for the running backs to get some space as well.
Yeah, look for maybe Trey Richardson to get opened up here.
There it is. Run off to the right side, and he is not going down easily.
There by Mr. Richardson.
What a play. Trey Richardson, he's a big boy. And then once he gets moving, he's not tall, but he's a big boy. Once he gets moving, and that time he carried, 3 different defenders, an extra 5 yards after they got a hold of him. Puts them in a reasonable down and distance now. 3rd, and I believe it's about 4.
We got a 3rd and 5. Trey Richardson, 5'7", 205. Look for him to carry some more defenders here. Look for him to get going. I think we're right on with how this team should go.
Here we go. Run around to the left side, trying to avoid tacklers. Cannot do it. Maybe a couple inches. Not a whole lot of yardage there. Maybe a yard. It'll be 4th and 4. And I got to be honest with you. I think you go for it here on 4th and 4.
I think you're right. That was very well played by the Lumberjack defense. And I think, you're coming down to 5 minutes left in the half. This is a time where I think you take another shot. Look for Esther to look for Nellums Jr. deep, or maybe Courtney Davis. We did see them on the bootleg early in the first quarter where they did have the streaker coming across the post. So look for some sort of pass play here. And, hopefully the Bombers can get some momentum going into the second half.
Yeah, see if they get. They're going to pitch it. This is Pugh running around the right side, and he doesn't get it, I don't think, does he?
I don't think so. I think this Lumberjack defense has really puffed their chest here, Vince.
I don't understand that play call. Be honest with you, Andy. You look at just 4 yards you got to get. You bring in Dominic Pugh to run the ball. I would more rather get Esther on the outside and give him the option to throw if there's somebody open or take off and run if he's not. That play kind of, I thought, put him in a real tough situation.
Yeah, I agree. I would have liked to see Esther on a rollout, maybe with Richardson lead blocking for him. So you have the option, if a defender comes up, you could do maybe a little shovel pass. But Esther is clearly the best athlete on this team, and I'm really unsure why they took the ball out of his hands there.
Well, not only did the Bombers take the ball out of his hands, now the Lumberjacks will take it out of their hands and take over on offense. 1st and 10, 3 minutes, 56 seconds to go. It's a running clock in the NLFA. So clock is running down in the half, up 14-0. Jeremy Banks in the shotgun. Again, he's got Dante Casey on one side, Devontae West on the other. Oh, here we go. Defensive
played by the Bombers.
That's number 21. Philip Sanders gets into the backfield basically as soon as the ball's handed off. Philip Sanders is there to stop. I believe that was Devontae West in the backfield. No yards forward after the handoff. 2nd and 14 now for the Lumberjacks. And this Bombers defense, they're going to have to create some turnovers the same way the Lumberjacks defense did early in the first quarter.
Yeah, I like the play there. I think Banks, we should see him now here maybe take a shot to end this first half on a high note and try to go up another score.
He's going to roll right. He's got all kinds of pressure, but he eludes them. He's still on his feet. Finally, he goes forward, almost similar to that Trey Richardson run just a minute ago. He gets up, gets back to the original line of scrimmage, or they're close to it at the very least. 3rd down, it's going to be about 3rd and 11 for the Lumberjacks. Banks, he was caught up in the backfield. He was showing his ability to get loose and at least not lose yardage again 2 consecutive plays.
Yeah, very well played by Banks there. And, I think what we noticed too, Vince, is he was still looking downfield. He wasn't necessarily looking to run, but you saw his eyes still looking downfield for a wide receiver. Very good field awareness there.
Banks now 3rd and long. Let's see if he looks deep. He's going to look to the left side, chucking it deep. This is an overthrown his receiver, Telly Ford, the intended receiver there for Derek Banks. I'd like to see him maybe attack the middle a little bit, some crossing patterns or something like that when it comes to the offensive pass game. But so far, not a whole lot going in the pass game. The run game's been the most successful. So 4th and 11, 2 minutes to go in the half. And again, it looks like they've got their offense still out there and going to go for it here. What are you looking to do here on 4th and 11?
If I'm the Lumberjacks and if I'm, Banks at the quarterback position, I'm looking to send somebody over the middle, see if I can get a drag route and maybe, move the Bomber defense. And specifically in that Bomber defense, I would like to try to move our guy who has made some plays, a big 6'5", 225-pound linebacker, try to get him on the run and send somebody across the middle.
All right. So now only one back in the backfield. Banks take the snap, dropping back. He's going to roll left, now throwing left. He's got a man incomplete. No flags on the play. It doesn't look like. Yeah. Looked like there's a little bit of contact, but you said it. Too far over his head for the referee to bail him out on that play. So the defense for the Bombers holds again. And now with 1.5 minutes and the clock ticking, A.J. Esther and the Bombers offense has to come out and get something very quickly rolling.
Yeah, you want to take a shot, but you also don't want to mismanage this because if you go too fast or if you make a mistake, Lumberjacks are in very good field position to take advantage right before the half and gain even more momentum. So let's see what Esther and the Bombers do here.
Yeah, they're going to look left here, short pass, incomplete. Just trying to get something quick going there, and it did not work. Clock is running per the rules. And so the Bombers, 2nd down and 10, 50 seconds to go. Timeout, it looks like, is now called by the Bombers with 49 seconds. They're trying to figure out a game plan here to make this happen. Because like you said, I mean, you don't want to make the big mistake here and give it right back to the Lumberjacks or even a pick six or something like that. So we'll see how they do it. Esther in the pistol. He's got a running back to his left and a running back behind him. The little play action pitch. Now he's rolling to the right, throwing right. He's got a man over the middle, complete. I believe that's Tedros. No, it's not Tedros Nedjum. It is Courtney Davis over the middle. Quick gainer there for the Bombers. They're going to take another timeout, I thought. Yep.
Well, yeah, we've looked at Davis and Nellums Jr. both, actually, all three of them, to really get involved in this offense. And it's nice to see them catch one over the middle.
20 seconds, clock ticking. Esther taking his time. 15 seconds. Now the snap. He's looking, throwing down the right side, looking for Ted Nellums. It is intercepted. Now they got to stop him so time can expire. And that's Derek Banks.
That's Derek Banks. not only playing some good quarterback today, but comes in with an interception on the defensive side of football to end the half. Great half of football by the Lumberjacks here. Surprising half by the Bombers.
Definitely. 14-0 is the score at the half. We're going to break right ahead, send you back to the booth to Jason and Andrew for your halftime show.
Well, that was definitely an interesting first half that we did not expect, Jason. What do you think?
Yeah, that was I mean, again, you know what I didn't expect was coming back at halftime, to be honest. But hey, we're here anyway. Yeah, great half so far. The Bombers, making, I think Andy summed it up before we started about the mistakes, or maybe you did. I can't remember. Somebody said it. Somebody with an A said it. Not making the mistakes, and that's what's being made by the Bombers. Careless throws. You saw it early. Got the pressure. Immediate interception, and it's been downhill ever since. But what are your thoughts, Andy?
I'm impressed by the Lumberjacks. They very clearly are building off of the way they finished off last week's game. They started playing a real clean game at the end of last week, and they're really imposing their will on this Bombers team today. They're really pushing everyone around that they want to, and it's almost as on defense as well when it comes to attacking the Bombers. They're forcing Esther to go the way that they want him to go, so that even when he's able to move his field of vision to his receivers, they're waiting for him right there. So I think the Lumberjacks came in and are executing exactly what they want to do against this Bombers team.
I think we heard it from the horse's mouth earlier. It kind of gave away his own game plan. Hope they weren't peeping that out. Might have been the reason why. I'm not sure, because it looks like what they came to play today. But again, great game thus far. Andrew, any more thoughts before we kick it back to Vince and Andy?
Just a reminder right there that we talked about two-way players before. That they nailed it on the head. That was Mr. Banks with the interception at the end of the half. So very impressive playing both sides and just being one of the premier athletes on the field. So fun to watch.
If Phil Simms was here, I believe he'd be the Iron Man of the game for sure. No doubt about it. All right, let's get this thing kicked back to Vince and Andy. We got a big half going ahead, so let's get it kicked back to them. Well, I'm just going to bring him in while we're here. Great call on the half, guys, and we're going to kick it back to you now.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Jason and Andrew. Sure appreciate you guys and all your work in here. And Andy, a great first half of football. A very frustrated Bombers team. They got to come out here in the second half and make things happen in the second half. And I gotta be honest with you. This is not something we've seen so far this season. So we're not really sure how the Bombers are going to handle it. They've been down by a score, but not by 2 scores, and not at this point in the game either. So I said we go ahead and start up the second half. We got plenty to talk about as we go throughout the second half as well. But let's get back down to the field where the Lumberjacks take over.
Yeah, Vince, let's see what adjustments the Bombers and specifically AJ Esther can make going into the second half. As you mentioned, they've been down a score, but they're 2 scores down, facing adversity to a team that's really got some momentum coming off a big win last week. The Lumberjacks looking to go 500 at 2-2, playing some really good football in the first half. I really like the way Derek Banks is playing, and I really like the way that defense is playing on the Lumberjacks, really swarming to the football, going lateral, and preventing AJ from hitting his receivers deep. So, this is going to be a big test for the Bombers here this third quarter. Obviously, the momentum still stays with the Lumberjacks, starting with the ball first, but anything can happen. Anything's possible.
Definitely. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to Belly Up TV's live sports. We are continuing to grow in what we're doing, and we're so excited to bring you the NLFA. Again, you can find more information about the league at nlfafootball.com and find out more sports programming through Belly Up TV, bellyup.tv on your Roku and Tiki Live app on streaming televisions as well. Derek Bates in the shotgun, back to his familiar formation. He's going to take the snap. Here we go. He's looking to run. He's coming straight up the middle. He's met by a couple blue shirts before being brought down, and about 2-yard gain there for Derek Banks. We didn't really see Derek run a whole lot in that first half, and I'm interested to see if maybe they try to do a little bit more of him calling his own number, I guess, here in the second half.
Yeah, I thought after he ran for that first touchdown, maybe that was going to be something we'd see throughout the football game. But, they've had a really good game plan so far. But I do look for the Bombers, specifically James Robinson, who's got a really fast get off today. Maybe get some pressure on Banks if he drops back to throw here.
Here we go. Good rush around the edge, but they get this one handed off and brought down a good little gain there. I believe that's Dante Casey out of the backfield. And looks like there's a penalty on the play, though. So all that work for not a whole lot of that may have been Telly Ford out of the backfield, actually. But it's going to come back anyways. It doesn't matter who it is. The Lumberjacks now, maybe they start making some mistakes. We'll see how this one shakes out.
It's very possible. You know, the mistakes, they can come in swarms. They can be one. You know, so hopefully this isn't too detrimental for the Lumberjacks, but it could also be the momentum swing that the Bombers need to really start getting back into this football game. They're not out of it by any means. Their defense still is playing well. They are down 2 scores, but it was off turnovers. So they've been put in some poor positions here. So look for this defense to keep playing stout. And we just need the offense and AJ Esther to really, you know, start moving the football down the field. And I still look for on this Lumberjack defense too. I think we're going to see Dimitri Casey be a really, really big factor to how these Bombers offense play today.
Yeah, he's a great player for sure. It's interesting to watch there. Jacob Daniels, who played a lot of corner last week, coming out in the field talking to Moses Jenkins as a long huddle there with the Lumberjacks, giving some advice there. Banks now dropping back to pass, and he's in all kinds of pressure. He's going to just throw it away.
Who is that but our guy, Vince? James Robinson shoots off the edge of that line and right in Banks' face.
All over him, right? And that's that. You get down in this point of the field, that's a big portion of what you're doing. It's just making them uncomfortable. Nothing easy.
So we got a long third down here. 3rd down and 16. You know, Vince, this is where I would like to see Banks, you know, maybe in that shotgun formation, have one of his backs stay with him, but take one of the backs out of the backfield, maybe run a wheel route up and down up the sideline. You know, try to catch the Bombers sleeping a little bit here.
Devontae West is to his right. No other running backs in the backfield. Casey will go up to play wide receiver, and he's got a dart straight up the left side. He's there. They're going to go to the right side, though, almost intercepted by Ted Nellums. He had a receiver. It was Dante Casey wide open up the left seam, and don't know if he didn't see him or how that went, but he tried to go the other direction to the right side. Incomplete pass. 4th and 16 now for the Lumberjacks. That penalty really hurt them on this drive.
It really did, you know, and on that play, I wonder if Derek maybe didn't see something or saw something different trying to expose the corner on the left side of that defense. But, you know, as we saw, they took a shot. That holding penalty really killed the momentum that they had. However, we have seen, you know, Derek Banks specifically make a lot of improvisational plays, especially that touchdown run in the first quarter. So let's see what happens here. Let's see if this Bombers defense can hold him and get some good field position for AJ.
All right, so it looks like the Lumberjacks will punt. No rush on the punt. You're not allowed to rush the punt. He will get this one down. It is Pugh that picks it up. He's got a seam. He's coming up through the middle to the right. And a great return there by Dominic Pugh to make sure that he sets his offense up with great field position here in the 3rd quarter.
I think we saw something different there that we haven't seen from this Bombers team all game. Dominic Pugh got the football and he ran straight ahead. He said, I'm going that way. Get out of my way. Right. And sometimes that's all you need to do. You need to, you know, grab the ball, hold it tight with 2 hands, and just run as fast as you can until somebody brings you down. Great return there by Dominic. Let's see what AJ can do with this momentum that they have now.
Yeah, I think you put it perfectly there, Andy, because sometimes you trust your athleticism to get you out of trouble, when instead you just need to take the fastest way from point A to point B. Esther gets the defense to jump, now snaps. He's going to swing out to his left, and now he's going to curl back around, trying to do maybe a little too much on this play. He throws it up. They're going to say he's down. So he's going to get sacked there. Boy, AJ Esther, he tried maybe to do a little too much on that play. Got himself in a little bit more danger. Should have just thrown it away or just taken the 1 yard that he could have had by running off to the left.
Yeah, I think that's one there where you try to just do too much, and you either rely on your other guys to help make the play for you, or like you said, you throw it away, you live to fight another day. We have a long 2nd and 10 now. Esther's back in the pistol formation. You know, there's a lot of options for them to run here. So let's see what they can do here on 2nd down.
They're going to bring 2 tight ends in, so bring them a little closer to the line here. He talked about this earlier pregame. Now he's in all kinds of pressure, and the referee's pointing, but I think he is sacked down. Looks like a loss of, my goodness, about 15 maybe. A huge loss on the play. And AJ Esther not having his best drive on this drive.
I'm not sure AJ is going to want to do any more post-game interviews talking about defenses that are containing him, because that's exactly what's happening here by the Lumberjacks in this football game. Is, there's nowhere for him to run. We saw last week when the Bombers played that there were all kinds of alleyways for him to take off, and that's just non-existent here with the Lumberjacks defense.
Same formation, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, 1 running back. Esther takes the snap, drops back. He's got a little bit of help back in the backfield, but he's in all kinds of pressure again. He's going to pitch it off to his running back, who gets drugged down immediately. A huge loss, but a flag comes in late there. Looks like a loss of 3 originally. Let's see what the flag is. Do they bail him out or not?
I thought I saw the ref signal a holding call.
All right, yeah, it's going to be, well, it's either third and, no, it looks like 4th down, according to the sticks on the opposite side of the field. So 4th down, and now you're going to see the Bombers punt 4th and 35. Whew.
Not really much you can do here, Vince, especially when the offense just isn't moving the ball. However, maybe something could happen here on this punt. You never know. It could be muffed. Watch for Dominic Pugh to sprint down the field as fast as he can, try to make a play.
They're punting from where Pugh caught the punt last time, and this is a out of bounds. It's an okay punt, basically taking over where you would to start the game or after a touchdown for the most part right there as well. So the score is 14-0. 7:40 to go here in the third quarter. The undefeated Bombers are in big-time trouble right now. There is still enough time. It's only a 2-possession game, but things have to shift, and they got to shift pretty soon here for the Bombers to start feeling like they're back in this game.
Yeah, I think the main thing we need to see is, their defense is still playing well, as we said, but we really need to see a spark on the offensive side of the football. I still think on the defensive side, we've mentioned James Robinson's name a lot. He's gotten some really good pressure off the offensive line from there. We've still got Kitrian Mingo, who's playing a really good game at the linebacker position. So, maybe one of these guys can make a play, create a turnover, and get some momentum for this offense.
Yeah, sometimes when the offense isn't scoring, you got to have the defense do it for them. Derek Banks back in shotgun again. He's got West and Casey flanking him. He's going to hand this one off. It's to West. He's going to try to get up the middle, the left side of the middle, I guess. He's going to fall forward, couple yards maybe. No.
Positive yards, Vince. They just keep falling forward no matter what.
Yeah, he did not lose any yards. It looks like the guy on the other side holding the marker still right there on the chain. So 2nd and 10 for the Lumberjacks, and able to at least not lose yards on that play. Banks back in shotgun. Bombers looking to do something defensively. They've gotten some pressure back there as well. Quick jump here. They're still playing. He's rolling to his left and gets brought down. Let's see if there's a flag. Yeah, that was a really fast jump there for the defense, and I'm not seeing a flag yet.
I don't either. I think it was just
Oh, there it is.
Perfect. Oh, there is a flag. Okay.
Yeah.
So we did get an offsides call. But I think
he got off the ball fast. That was number 57, Marcus Stevenson, I believe. He jumped very quickly. No, they're going the other direction. Yeah, okay. Yeah, offsides on the defense. So
I think regardless of the penalty, that's something that we have to see. Is we have to see this defense keep creating stops, keep playing fast. Obviously we don't want to see the mental mistakes as we've talked about throughout this football game so far, but you got to tip your hat to this defense the way they've played and try to keep their team in it so far.
Yeah, you can see Marcus Stevenson there. He's closest to us on the defensive line. Just jumped a little fast there. Now Banks handing it off, running around the right side, a little bit of a gap there, gets the first down on 2nd and 5. And that is Dante Casey getting the big run around the right side and the first down for the Lumberjacks, keeping the clock moving, of course, but also keeping the sticks moving, which is more important at this time since the clock always runs.
Yeah, I like what the Lumberjacks are doing here, chewing up yards. Even when they don't create a big play, they're still falling forward, as we keep mentioning. So, as long as Derek Banks can hold on to the football and, his running backs as well, and they don't create any turnovers here, we might see the Bombers, in some real adversity going into the fourth quarter.
Dominic Brooks checks in. Looks like Jamaz Henry comes off maybe a little injured for the defense. So now here we go. Banks in shotgun, sends a man in motion, is going to pitch it to him coming across the front. Now it cuts back to the middle. A huge run up the middle, gets it short of the sticks, but looks like a good 9-yard gain there for the Lumberjacks, just continuing to kind of just pick away at this Bombers defense.
You almost wonder, Vince, if this Bombers defense is getting tired. They've been on the field a lot. They've really had to step up in some situations, and they do play fast. So you just wonder if maybe they're kind of running out of gas here. But it's 2nd and 1. We've still got a lot of time left in this football game. There's still plenty of time for the Bombers to make a play.
Yeah, and the Bombers did take a time out there, maybe trying to get their breath. And Banks is going to keep this one, gets the first down. Not much more. So a good job there by the defense to hold him after that. But it looks like he does get the first down. And that's what we're going to see, I think, a lot of here in this last quarter and 3 minutes is Derek Banks just kind of wisely deciding whether to hand it off or hold on to it. And that time he held on to it, got that first down, and now he just continued to play.
Yeah, go forward. I mean, that if I'm the coach of the Lumberjacks, I'm just saying go forward. Hold on to the football and go forward.
Go forward. All right, here we go. Banks snap a little high. He's going to hand this one off. The
nice
defense
penetration by the defense there.
That's number 21, Philip Sanders again coming up.
He's made a couple of plays in the backfield this game. Sanders is a big DB too. Goes 6'2", 220. He's got some size that can be pretty favorable to create some plays for this Bomber defense.
Yeah, and you've got to assume they're going to run the ball. They've not had really any success throwing the football. And so as soon as you see that ball, which side it's going on, to attack forward, just like you're wanting the offense to go forward, for the defense, you want them to attack forward as well. So as opposed to waiting for the offensive player to get to them, go ahead and meet them at the point there, and that's exactly what Sanders did. Banks back in shotgun, snap. He's looking to his right, throwing to his right. It is caught and drug out of bounds. Gain of about 4 or 5. There's a flag that comes in late, which might be another big mental mistake on the Bombers. Let's see what they decide to go with. I believe it's Marvin Carter with the catch.
And while we're waiting on this call too, Vince, it does look like it is on the Bombers. They are going to move the chains here, but I think what we saw there too is the Bombers were playing a little bit flat-footed. It was an out route run by the Lumberjacks. It looked like the defender could have broken on the route and maybe even made a play on the ball, but standing a little flat-footed, and Derek Banks took advantage with a nice throw.
Very nice throw. He's not had a whole lot of nice throws today. He's made a lot of other plays, but the throws have been over the head of his receivers for the most part. That one, though, was perfectly placed, and because of the penalty, they get the first down. And the Bombers got to be thinking right now, now we're just shooting ourselves in the foot at this point. Here we go, the snap, handoff around the right side. Great job. And we talked about the first half, right, Andy? When you're going side to side, you're helping the Bombers out because they've got that speed. And side to side there, they get no gain.
Yeah, and I would really question the play calling there to not just run it up the middle, because as we've seen, when the Lumberjacks have been successful in this football game, it's either Derek Banks, making something out of nothing, or they're just running upfield. They're running straight ahead, kind of a one cut and go type of deal. So let's see what happens here as they, continue to march down the field on second down.
2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left, 2 backs in the backfield. This time Banks is going to hold on to it, go straight up the middle. And boy, he got met quickly there. But he gains another couple yards. He took a beating on that play, though.
Well, sometimes, Vince, when you hold on to the ball a little bit, you're going to take a hit. But as we've seen today, there have been some good hits and good plays by this Bomber defense, which does show they are still not out of this football game. Even as we wind down here the last seconds of the third quarter, we still have, yes, it is a running clock, but we still have 15 minutes to play. Plenty of time for the Bombers to make something happen.
Yeah, Lumberjacks scored 14 points in less than 15 minutes. So the Bombers can too. We're going to the fourth quarter now. A surprising score. Lumberjacks 14, Bombers 0. Coming from the highest scoring team in the league, the Bombers. A huge surprise at this point. So we're going to swap ends of the field. Banks is the quarterback in shotgun. He's got a running back on each side of him. Here's the snap. Fumbled the snap. Now he's going to roll left, throwing left.
Man,
he's got
wide
open. Caught, brought down. There's a touchdown, according to the officials.
Yep, right over the pylon. Again, great field awareness there by Derek Banks, even after the mishandled snap. We're just seeing all things go Lumberjacks right now, Vince.
I couldn't say. Typically, that's Justin LeBlanc on that side of the field. I did not see who made the catch. The referee was not even close to the goal line, called the touchdown, and it looks like.
Was he just short? First and goal, it looks like. So they must have called him just short, even though he did hit the pylon.
Yeah, they, again, as an official, if you're not on the ball, and that official was about 30 yards behind the ball, that was signaling touchdown. So they got it situated. So no touchdown, just kidding. Lumberjacks first and goal. Banks takes the snap, immediately throws to his right, stiff arms the defender, touchdown.
Now we are in.
There it is. This time it counts. A touchdown.
All right, so they just wanted to make you wait for one more play, folks.
I think that was Marvin Carter. Hard to tell because he got off screen by the time his back turned to us. But just a very quick, almost bubble screen type of play there for the Lumberjacks to score their third touchdown of the game. And the Bombers still have a donut up there on the screen. Sorry, Jason, it's not a real donut. But nonetheless, 0 points for the Bombers, the highest scoring offense in the league. Lumberjacks lead 20-0.
Yeah, another good play design there, too, by the Lumberjacks. And you see when Derek makes the quick decisions, he's very accurate with the football.
Here's the running back up the middle. I believe that's Trey Richardson. So fast the camera can't keep up. Now he's finally drugged down. What a run there by Trey Richardson. Not going to go down easily without a fight for sure.
Yeah, nice gain there on first down. We talked about it earlier, Vince. We wanted Richardson to be more involved. As we get a quick play here, Esther, hand up the middle to a fake handoff, and now Esther's trying to make a play.
Oh, he pitches it. That's an old Brett Favre play there.
I believe, again, that is the crystal ball of Vince and Andy coming true, because we talked about that. If he could get an alleyway to either run or make a shovel pass.
Demyron Smith with his first catch of the game. Gets the first down. Oh, we got a penalty, though. It's an offsides. Oh, my goodness.
The mental mistakes are just killing the Bombers today.
It's one right after another, carried over into the second half, right?
And when you're an undefeated team, you just can't have games like this because, the worst thing that can happen is this spills over to next week. So you hope no matter the outcome of this game that they just clean up these mental mistakes when they come to the game next Monday. Yeah,
Holland Witherspoon, head coach, he probably has in his mind exactly what they're going to do in practice, their next practice, to make sure they can fix some of these things. A.J. Esther in shotgun. He's got a running back on each side of him. And they're going to end up calling a timeout here. Maybe a little confusion on what they wanted to do offensively.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what what Holland would be saying to these guys right now, other than probably a lot of expletives. But we want to see this Bombers offense live up to the potential and the previous games that we've had so far this season. So hopefully they got something dialed in here. We've got, again, a phenomenal talent at quarterback here in A.J. Esther. So he is in the shotgun position, flanked on both sides.
Esther now looking across the middle, almost picked off. Whoo, boy. A big shout out to the guys in the truck tonight, running across the ticker, helping us out there. Very quick thinking ad for Manscaped there. Thank you for that, gentlemen. Again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in to Belly Up TV, and hope that you'll come back to Belly Up TV for regular sports coverage throughout the week, all throughout the week, every day, different shows on. We'll talk more about those in a moment. Here we go. A.J. Esther Got a man to his left and a man right behind him. He's going to pitch it. It looks like Trey Richardson again. This time, nowhere to go. The defense all over him. And on 3rd and 6, they're going to not really get much at all on that play. Trying to stick with the horse of Trey Richardson and not working.
Yeah, it was a well sniffed out play by the Lumberjacks, and something we've talked about, but briefly, is the fact that aside from week 1, the past 2 weeks, the Lumberjacks have played pretty solid defense on that side of the football. So, we're really seeing that there's some momentum coming into this game. Playing the number 1 offense in the NLFA. Something's brewing on this Lumberjacks team, and if I'm coaching the defensive side of the football, I'm very happy with the effort I've seen today.
Bombers lining up to punt, 4th and 5, 10 minutes to go in the game, down by 3 scores. Little surprised to see him punting here.
I am surprised at that, Vince. I don't really know why you take the ball out of Esther's hands there, but there is still 10 minutes left, and as we've seen, scores can happen quickly. So, maybe Holland sees something that we don't.
Well, and Andy, maybe this is not a nice question to ask, but is it a sign of just waving the white flag?
That is, I guess, a visual that could be seen. I think it's more trying to play the field position game and maybe noticing that their defense has played well so far, maybe trying to create some momentum on that side of the football for their offense.
Make something happen. 9.5 minutes to go. 20-0. Lumberjacks 1-2, leading the undefeated, highest scoring team in the league. 3-0 Bombers, and just a surprising showing so far. The Bombers have made consistent mistakes throughout this game. Every time something good's happened, it seems like there'd been a penalty that called it back. So here we go. We got Derek Banks back in shotgun. He's got his running backs on each side of him. He's going to hand it off. They're going to run to the right, coming around the corner. Good job by the defense all over him. He's circling back around. Oh, what a block. He's coming back to the left side now. He's looking for space, but there is nothing there. He's going to run about 60 yards and lose 2 on the play. And I think there's going to be a penalty for that block, big time block there in the backfield. And sure enough, that's going to send him back even further. So maybe Holland Witherspoon did know what he was doing in his decision to punt it away. And now they've got him backed up big time. But again, clock running, just over 8.5 minutes to go in the game. But it's going to be 2nd down and a really long way to go.
Yeah, it looks like this Bombers defense is going to be what makes or breaks the game for them. And, if they can make a play here and give the offense a really short field and get a quick score, they're still back in this thing. So, let's see how this plays out. We got a long 1st and 15 here. Banks is basically playing out of his own end zone right now. So let's see what happens.
All right. Banks is backed up. He takes the ball and he's just going to try to go forward. He slips down, losing yards again on this play. And it looks like he just lost his footing on that one.
Yep.
And but hey, he got out of the end zone, and that's what matters the most.
We've talked a lot today about mental mistakes, Vince, and that's a physical one. That's kind of one where you just shake your head, you shake it off, and you move on to the next play, right? That's not something that you're going to go into film and really hone in on. That's just saying, hey, just try to make sure you got your footing under you. But, Banks has played a good game today. So, he'll probably shake that off and look to move on here as we get into 2nd and 17.
Quick timeout for the Lumberjacks. Referee's trying to clear some people off the sidelines. Here we go. Banks is taking the snap. Now he's looking. Oh, my goodness. He gets wrapped up in the end zone. That's going to be a safety. Looky there. You called it. The defense has a chance to make a difference, and the defense made a huge difference for the Bombers there.
Yep. It looks like we had Marcus Stevenson in there, as well as, I think, Mr. Jamaz Henry. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but I am bad with names. But a great play by the Bombers defense. And you know what, Vince? I'm going to the gas station when this is done. I'm buying a lottery ticket because my crystal ball is on fire right now. But in all seriousness, great effort there by the Bombers on the defensive side of the football.
They have a cream for that, Andy. All right. Yes, a great score there for the Bombers defense. And now after the safety, let's hear the officials talking over here. Almost looks like he's asking for the clarification on the rules. I think we got to figure it out now. Back down here, the Bombers will take over on offense. 6 minutes, 16 seconds, left in this game. Now the clock is running. That's one thing as an official you got to understand as well. Hey, clock's running. These guys are losing by 3 scores. They need to get this things going here.
Yep.
But
also,
nobody seems to be too urgent right now.
Nope. And I'd also like to give another quick shout out to our guys in the truck for bringing a little humor to this football game. If you're following along with the ticker on the bottom of the screen here, big shout out to you guys who do the things that, quite frankly, Vince and I aren't paid enough to do. It's above our pay grade. But
I'd have to be paid to get trained how to do it first, and
I'd probably have to pay somebody. So, sorry, we'll go 1st and 10 here. Bombers football. Vince, what do you think we got here? We're coming here.
They got to get the ball quickly down the field. 5.5 minutes to go. So Esther, he's going to hand it off here. I think you got to throw the football though. They're going to see Trey Richardson, and if you had time, that's one thing, but you just don't have the time for it anymore. You got to move the ball quickly down the field. I want to see Esther get on the outside so that he has the option to run if there's space or throw. He's got the Nellums brothers out there split out. Both of them got some speed and talent out there as well. He's going to go short looking for Roderick Long. What a catch.
Behind the receiver, but a very nice catch there out of the backfield.
A phenomenal catch there. It'd be a highlight reel. It'd help if the score was different. We've seen 2 really nice highlight plays here for the Bombers with the safety and then followed up with the beautiful catch by Roderick Long there on offense. So the chains are moving. Referee's trying to get them to move. Here they go. Huddled up for the Bombers are trying to figure out the perfect game plan to how do we score 18 points in 4.5 minutes?
Well,
or maybe you're even playing for next week.
Those long huddles aren't going to be the way to do it.
Yeah, and that's what makes me think maybe they're kind of playing for next week. Let's do some things to practice. Pugh gets the ball. He's running. Oh, what a run by Dominic Pugh. Huge gain for him up the right side. And a first down for the Bombers. Looks like maybe we've got a quarterback change here, which would be another, or maybe a reason for the longer huddles, trying to figure out exactly what they want to do. Sure enough, it is Courtney Davis, who had a good catch earlier in the game. He's now seeing some time at quarterback. Good catch from the guys in the truck there as well. Now the snap for Davis. He's going to pitch it. Bad. Oh, my goodness. Loose ball picked up by Lumberjacks. Another turnover. And when you're doing those pitches to the running back, it just has to be simple and just get it right into his hands. Pitch was a little erratic, and therefore another turnover. Lumberjacks, shout out to the Lumberjacks. 3 big turnovers here in this game, and that one is basically the final nail in the coffin, right?
Yeah, I would think so. And, you know, I think both of us are on the same page here where we question a little bit of the play calling done by the Bombers in this offensive football game. But, you know, because we've seen them make some plays when the plays have been done right. However, we've seen some very questionable calls as well. But, you know, a phenomenal game played by the Lumberjacks today as Banks hands it up the middle, and a nice play again by the Bombers defense, which has played a very solid football game today, Vince.
Very solid. You look at this game, you say, you know, the score, the way that it sits 20-2 is, you wouldn't necessarily think the defense has played great if all you saw was the final score. But the result is yeah, the Bombers defense has been really solid overall today. 2 turnovers that led to scores early in the first quarter gave the Lumberjacks great field position and just put the defense in a bad situation. Snaps a little high. Quarterback's going to keep it. He's going to run off to the left. He's got space. He's got a first down, a big hit there on the sideline. Maybe the Bombers letting out a little frustration there, trying to close out this game at least on a high note.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's just been too little too late almost from this team. And, you know, while they're still fighting, they're not going to lay down for this Lumberjack football team. You know, I think we take it back to the play calling, and we, you know, there's been some questionable decisions of taking the ball out of Esther's hands on some of these 3rd and 4th downs. But you also wonder if you know, something about, you know, what this Lumberjack defense is built for just plays right into, you know, the kryptonite, so to speak, for AJ Esther and this Bomber offense.
That's a great point, Andy. Here we go. Lined up 1st and 10, a minute and a half to go. They're going to hand this one off, going to the left side. And again, the defense steps up. That's Dominic Pugh again. We've seen him make special teams plays. We've seen him on offense and now on defense as well, kind of just getting everywhere that he can. And a big stop there stops him for a gain of maybe one, more like half a yard.
Another guy that would be on the highlight reel if the score was flipped. He's played a really, really sound football game for the Bombers.
He sure has. Devontae West on the carry is lined up again beside Banks. Second and 9, under a minute to go. It's going to give it back to West, and again the defense holds up. Nowhere to go. Sanders, big there on the stop as well.
Sanders has lived in the backfield today, but it just wasn't enough for this Bombers team.
Yeah, I think if you're Holland Witherspoon as offensive coordinator, Billy Grider, they've got a lot to work on this week. Maybe the league is starting to kind of figure them out a little bit. Maybe it's just the Lumberjacks playing great defense, or maybe it is the league starting to figure them out, and they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how can they execute on offense in the next game. 10 seconds to go. We should have one more play left. Banks, slow motion snap. He takes it. First down there, almost first down, I guess. But that will be the game. The game does expire. Final score, Lumberjacks. It says 22-2. I think it's 20-2, but I could be wrong. Either way, the Lumberjacks come away with a big win over the Bombers here in this game in week 4 of the NLFA. And let's see here. Our clock shows 0, so they're going to line up for another play. So we're not ready to be done just yet. 4th down. Banks in the shotgun, takes the snap, drops back to pass, rolls right, has pressure, lots of pressure, throws it up, and incomplete. Incomplete, I believe it is.
We had a Ron Burgundy moment there, folks. We couldn't see what was happening.
And that will be the ball game, I think. Yes, it is. All right. Thank you, guys. Well, a surprising ending. Coming into this game, I did not expect the Bombers. I expected it could be a close game, but did not see it being so lopsided in order for the Lumberjacks there. And really, there's the defense on both sides for both teams that played the better ball game, it seemed like, throughout this game, even though the Lumberjacks were able to put up 3 scores.
Yeah, it was one of those weird games where it looks like one team did a lot of things right and another team just played completely mistake-ridden football. But honestly, three mistakes by the Bombers really swayed the momentum of this whole game. Their defense, you can't say enough good things about how they played, but this Lumberjack offense really had the number, just enough to punch the ball in the end zone. And big shout out to Derek Banks. I think he played a great football game today. But big shout out to the Lumberjack defense holding the number 1 offense in the NLFA 2-0.
Dimitri Casey, the linebacker, came up big, had the interception in the first quarter, had some big plays as well. We're going to send it back to the booth here in just a second. But first, I want to let everyone know Andy Sire, he's the host of the same podcast. You can find it anywhere you get your podcasts, and you can find his show on Belly Up TV as well. I'm Vince Stover, host of the Sports Stove podcast. Same information. Find us anywhere you get your podcast and on Belly Up TV as well. Andy, it's been a blast here calling this game, and next week we'll be back to call more Monday Night Mayhem from the NLFA. But for now, we're going to send it back to the studio. Jason Cooper and Andrew LeDuc. Have a good evening.
See you.
Hey, everybody. It's Vince with the Sports Stove podcast, inviting you to join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Belly Up TV, 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. as well. The Sports Stove podcast is a traditional sports talk show talking about professional and collegiate sports. We've got great guests. We've had Division I head football coaches like Walt Wells from Eastern Kentucky, Tom Allen from Indiana. We've had an athletic director. We've had a conference president, professional athletes, UFC fighters, the whole gamut, along with media personalities from around the world. So we encourage you to tune in. Of course, you can always get the audio wherever you get your podcast for the Sports Stove podcast. But tune in every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and see what's cooking on the Sports Stove podcast.
Well, we saw what was cooking tonight, and it certainly was not the Bombers. What a huge surprise that was. Andy, let's get your Andrew. I don't know what I'm doing tonight. My bad. Andrew, let's get your final thoughts on this ball game.
Look, we've hammered it home here. The Bombers made some mistakes. 3 big mistakes. Andy said it perfect. But what was impressive here was the Lumberjacks, obviously on defense. But something I do want to point out is that I mentioned in the pregame that one of the keys for them was going to be protecting the offensive line and changing that. And I think what they did in running the T formation out of the backfield with the running backs, it helps spell that because it gave them a little bit more time. What I wish they did more was pass out of that formation, because as we saw, Sanders was in the backfield for the Bombers a lot, making some plays for the Bombers defense. And I think if they threatened the pass a little bit more, that might have been able to keep the DBs a little bit more honest in their coverage a little bit.
Yeah, I'm wondering now as I'm watching and this is the second game we watch with the Bombers. I'm wondering if it's just the offensive line play, or is it that, is it a situation where he likes to run and make things happen on his feet, but I think sometimes it just gets to be a little too much. He mentioned it in his pregame, how they had a bottom up earlier. The last game, they basically did the same this game. Follow the same game plan. Don't want to get him rolling to his right. Andy pointed out earlier as he makes great adjustments, when he's on a roll on his when he's rolling out. But unfortunately, they weren't letting him get to that point. So big defense tonight all the way through. Next week, we got some big games next week. Really excited to see the Bombers. Let's see if they can get back on track. They're 3-1 now. They'll be facing the 0-4 Rattlers. So that's going to be a decent matchup. Let's see if the Rattlers can get off the schneid, so to speak. Is this something like Andy pointed out, something that the Bombers, something that build momentum to losing, unfortunately? Let's see what happens with that next week. And I guess pretty much our game of the week next week, we're going to see this now 2-2 Lumberjack team go against the 3-1 Roughnecks. So this is going to be really interesting to see. Again, our game of the week next week. I'd love to see who comes out. What are your thoughts on our next week's lineup, Andy?
Well, I'll be curious to see, do we have a little bit of a quarterback controversy on the Bombers now? Because we did see Esther got pulled out of this game. I don't know if it was for injury or if it was just, I think it came after that, 4th and 35 situation. We saw number 8, Courtney Davis, come in the game somewhere around that period. It was hard to tell exactly when. So do we see Davis suit up for the start next week, or does Esther get his spot back in the backfield? It will be very interesting to see.
Yeah, it's going back to making mistake-free football. Andy talked about it prior to. I mean, that's the formula to any team, so to speak, to win. Play mistake-free, capitalize when you have your opportunities. Again, I mentioned it in the last broadcast. He's running 5 yards backwards to make, or sometimes 10 yards backwards to make a 2 5-yard gain, just hurting yourself. So maybe kind of a switch up with the game plan, as Andy mentioned to you earlier. But half off to their opponents tonight, the Lumberjacks, who played great. Great football, great defensive plan, great offensive plan as well. So good. Hats off to them. And it'll be interesting to see how they do next week in our game of the week. All right, for us, go ahead. My bad, Andy. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, we got a little bit of a race now to end the season. It should be a good finish.
Right, indeed. It looked like the Bombers were just going to take off with the whole thing. We commented on it prior. It was just going to be the Bombers were going to be in the game of the week every week, just because they were the team to watch. But, again, showed some chinks in the armor today. Might have been exposed. Who knows? We'll see going forward. Going to be interesting. Going to be interesting for the rest of the season. We're excited. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Andrew on Divots and Pivots. Could make sure to check him out. Check out all the great podcasts on Belly Up. We have everything from wrestling to racing. Everything got you covered. My show, TSS Fantasy, we talk about football and we talk about a bunch of other crazy things. Lots of fun. We do a lot of games and just have a lot of good time on there as well. So I hope you check us out for there. So for us, to you, thank you, Vince. Thank you, Andy. Great call tonight. Andrew, any final thoughts before we head out?
Just catch us next week. We're going to keep having the fun, so keep joining us every week.
Indeed. Hard-hitting action here. You can't deny it. Gotta love it. We appreciate you guys. We are out.